Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So today is going to be regarding sovereigns. I'm going to read the definition of sovereignty, sovereigns, sovereign states, as well as sovereign rights, as well as numerous other things that I have acquired from Blacklock's dictionaries, Bouvier's dictionaries, and a numerous other amount of sources. So let's get this started. Well, what is a sovereign? A sovereign is a chief ruler with supreme power, one possessing sovereignty. It is also applied to a king or other magistrates with limited powers. So remember, judges are magistrates, so they are considered sovereigns. This is the definition from English law: sovereign, the name of a gold coin in Great Britain with the value of a pound of silver, a pound of sterling. Sovereign state, one who governs itself independently of any foreign powers. That's literally what the 10th Amendment was for, was to give us power to keep foreign powers like D.C., who are not part of the United States or the Union, from taking and seizing power, which Governor Newsom has easily given over. Sovereignty, the union and exercise of all human power possessions in a state. It is a combination of all power. It is the power to do everything in the state without accountability, to make laws, to execute and apply commerce with foreign nations and the like. Well, that applies to politicians, right? Because they can do anything and laws don't apply to them. They're absolutely immune. So they consider themselves part of the sovereignty, the sovereigns. When analyzed, sovereignty is a naturally divided into three powers, namely legislative, the executive, and judiciary. The first power is to make new laws and correct and repeal old ones. The second in the power is to execute laws both home and abroad. The last power is to be applied to laws to particular facts, to judges, the disputes which arise among citizens to punish crimes. We've discussed what a crime is and how all of them are civil. For, strictly speaking, in one of the Republican forms of government, absolute sovereignty of the nation is in the people of the nation, and the residual sovereignty of each state, and granted when any of the public functionaries is in the people of the state. Dallas 471 and Vide generally. 2. Dallas 4345. 3. Dow, which is Dallas 93, and then it says 1 Story Constitution 208. 1 Troul TROUL.N20 MERT.REPER.HRT. I'll put that out the link. That is the definition of sovereignty, state sovereignty, sovereign from the English Law Dictionary, and then the Bouvier's 1856 sovereign. Now, this is from a Blacklock's Dictionary, 6th edition. Sovereign, a person or body or state which is independent and has supreme authority is vested, a chief ruler with supreme power, a king or ruler and monarch. You see how Bouvier and Blacklock's Dictionary both have the same, almost literally the same definition of sovereign, for a king or ruler that's invested in power in itself. Now, that's very interesting. I have letters from the courts saying that they are vested with independent power. Independent power from who? Never specified who they are. They're independent courts. They said they're, but we know autonomy is in place. This is the definition of sovereign people. Sovereign people, the political body consisting of entire numbers of citizens and qualified electors in who their collective capacity possesses the power of sovereignty and to exercise them through the chosen representatives. See Scott versus Sanford. That was an 1856 case, actually. That was the one where the 14th Amendment actually started to come into play. Ironically, it still doesn't apply to us because we have no civil rights. We have none of this. None of this applies to us because we're not 14th Amendment citizens. I've already shown this. I mean, Washington, D.C., first off, 51st Congress, 51st H.R. 51, 116th Congress. They're not part of the Union, so that makes them a foreign body. Second, they have to file under FARA. They did not file under the FARA Act. That's the Foreign Registered Agent. So there's a Foreign Registered Agent Act of 1938, and all agencies must apply. And remember that they have not, because why? Because they're acting as that sovereign state, that power that's acting independent, autonomously from any other government, but has the right to say over any other government. So sovereign people, we discussed, was a number of citizens or qualified electors. Sovereign power or sovereign prerogative, that is the state to which none other is superior or equal, and which includes all specific powers necessary to accomplish the legitimate ends of purpose of government. Athena Casualty and Surety Company versus Branwell, D.C. OR 12F2D 307-309. Sovereign right. A sovereign right which the state alone or some governmental agencies can possess, which the possession in the character of sovereign for the common benefit and enable it to carry out the proper functions distinguished from such proprietary rights as a state, like any private person, may have in property or demand which it owns. Sovereign state, as defined. States who are subject to citizens who are states, a sovereign state. States who are subject or citizens or inhabitants of obedience to them, and which they themselves are not subject to any other or paramount state in any respect. So, Washington, D.C., let's say D.C. wanted to prosecute me, the FBI, but California said, no, you can't do that. That's because that's the state having control of the sovereign state, and it not allowing the interference of foreign governments within the Union. Sovereign states are states who are subject to the habits and obedience of themselves and subject to others and paramount to any respect. The state is a semi-sovereign only, not a full sovereign. So they're only semi-sovereign, not fully sovereign. And not sovereign when in any respects its liability to be controlled by paramount government. In the intercourse of nations, certain states have positions of entire independence and performance to all those acts possible for the state to perform in those particular spheres. The same state also has the entire power of self-government, that is, the independence upon all others of this particular sphere. The same states also have the entire power of self-government, that is, the independent upon all other states, as far as their own territory, and citizens not living abroad concerned. No foreign power or law can have control except by convention. That's constitutional convention. They have to hold. This is why I'm very heavily opposed to national security directives, executive orders. I believe that executive order powers should be limited. I also believe that national security directives should not exist at all. There should be no executive security directive orders that are subverting the Constitution. Everything should have to go through Congress. But you have to remember that they have to register. Foreign governments have to register under FARA. Like every government that's incorporated is a business. Yes, incorporation. I talked with the state of California, and I asked them, even if you're a nonprofit or a government agency, can you be when you're incorporated, does that qualify you as a corporation? They said yes. Even if you're a nonprofit, that still makes you under government, under the corporate codes, correct? The individual told me yes. So this continued to show me, okay, so if you're incorporated, you can be a corporation, even if you're a nonprofit corporation. Any type of incorporation is considered a body, and that is remember under 283002, which applies to government entities. Now, remember that also applies to instrumentalities of the United States that are attached. That means all U.S. Post, patents, everything that has been registered in the U.S., that is considered a security of the United States, or because they also hold title to it. They are the holder in due course. Now, I want to also read sovereignty. So this is Black Law's 1990 definition of sovereignty. The supreme and absolute uncontrollable power by which independent governed supreme political authority, the supreme will, paramount control of the Constitution and frame of the government and administration, the self-sufficient source of political power from which political power was derived, the international independence of the state combined with the rights and powers regulated in internal affairs without foreign dictation, also political societies or states which the sovereigns and independent, the power to do everything without accountability, to make laws, execute, apply, to impose and collect taxes, levies, contributions, to make war or peace in the forms of treaty alliances or commerce with foreign nations, and the like. A great example of a foreign nation is Disney. Disney has its own police force, its own laws, and it dictates only to itself. Disney is a corporation, but it can be autonomous and it can be independent and still hold its own laws and still uphold laws of other countries. Just because you're sovereign doesn't mean you're immune from other laws. You still have to follow those laws, but they have to also realize and respect your rights as a man and a sovereign. Now, most people say, well, he's right on line with everything that the sovereign citizen movement stands for. But I've actually done the research. I actually printed out, well, technically I printed out a wording of it, but I can find the links to these links. Some of these links have been taken down because they didn't like that I posted them. So when I called the company and I asked them, hey, why is this link taken down? Why was it taken down for? It was posted on my website and it wasn't taken down. It was up for years until I posted it on my site, and then it was taken down. Why? So people, they will take down sites, and I'll make sure to try to put them back up, to get them back up. So I want to read the rest of this. The power of everything with the state of capital. We already covered that. That literally is the same as Bouvier's Law Dictionary of Sovereign. That talks about being immune, having and making laws applicable. You see, there's a thing going there with government, right? Why can government be sovereign, but we can't be? That doesn't make sense. And if they have a rule such as consent to govern. Consent means I'm giving you permission. To be governed is for somebody to rule over you, obviously. So I am giving consent for somebody to rule over me. But I'm allowing a foreign political corporate state to function over me. Now, I have shown in past videos of evidence of the state, the corrupt state, the police state, things like this. I'm going to show these again because last time I posted them, my videos were taken down, and because my site was being monitored. I want to read the rest of this. Sovereigns is government that is public authority, which directs and orders what is to be done to each member associated in relations to the end associations. The supreme power by which citizens is governed, and the person or body or the person of state is political no superior, whom there is no political whom there is politically no superior. I'm going to read that again because I messed that one up. Sovereignty Sovereignty in government is that political authority which directs or orders what is to be done by each member associated relations to the end of the association. It's supreme power by which any citizen is governed, and the person or body of person to whom the state is whom there is politically no superior. The necessary existence of the state and the right in which necessary following is sovereignty by sovereignty, in its largest sense meaning supreme, absolute, uncontrollable power with absolute right to govern. By the words itself comes nearest by being the definition of sovereign. It is will or violation of validity, volition, as applied to the political affairs. See City of Bisbee versus Koski, Cochise. City of Bisbee, that's Bisbee versus Koski, Cochise. These are the definitions of sovereignty. You also have to remember that the birth certificates were made and created in fraud in 1988, which created employment, which created citizenship. I can actually post those in 1988 and 1999, 2000, which also again continued to show birth certificate fraud. Now, and this being used as a source of employment to the federal government. This can also be seen in Kim Wong, which, yes, they did decide with the state, but the state's always going to decide with the state, and the federal government's always going to agree with government no matter what. But these cases were cases that set the stage for the whole state citizen versus federal citizen. In Temer versus Jones, Temers said he was a state citizen but not a federal citizen because the federal 14th Amendment did not apply to him because it was outside of the jurisdiction and range. The state, again, disagreed I'll post the link. They ruled in favor of the state, but let's just say that the state also you're not a state citizen either, because in your state, each individual state is registered and has a business registered, and is actually, again, a corporation. That's all it is. So unless you're a corporate citizen, and like I said, I'll post the links. I'll post information. This is purely informational. You do the research yourself. I'm not going to do all the research for you. I'm giving you, pointing out things that are just blatantly wrong with the whole sovereign movement. Only the state government can be sovereign, I guess. Apparently, from reading this, it seems to me like only the state and its employees can be sovereign and its citizens. But how can a foreign agency be sovereign? They can't and then dictate over a group of people. See, right to consent. I have the right to say no. What happened to the old 80s? No means no. I don't have cops don't protect you. They protect the corporations and they enforce statutes and codes. So do judges, and judges enforce statutes and codes. There has not been any judges. They're all administrative. But I already know that there's going to be people on here hating and saying, well, no, that's not true. What you read is actually inaccurate. But I've actually read this from legal sources, and legal sources. This is some of the legal sources. This is actually my list here. This is good. I'm gonna redo this, but this is the list. I'm doing that for the courts. I'm gonna use it as a table, like a table for like a book. Makes it easier for individual reading than hitting them with a shitload of fucking paperwork. But see, that's why they call us paper terrorists, because we hit them with a shitload of information, because information always changes. A law that can't be changed or moved or altered, that's not a functional law. And a lot of these laws aren't functional. We create laws that don't apply to us. The statutes were later revised, and those later revised statutes we call statutory codes actually don't apply to us. If you look more closely and actually do homework, you'll find that a lot of the stuff people are saying is true. It's just there's people out there that don't want to believe it's true, or government shills. I don't believe that everybody's a government shill. I believe that a lot of the information is incorrect, and rather than telling people, well, you're wrong, and you're a criminal and you're a crook, give them information so they can revise and relearn the things that they need to learn, so that they may appropriately apply it. See, I'm not a sovereign. I'm a secured party creditor, for all those who wish to know. I am the secured party creditor. I hold all form of beneficiary equitable title to my estate, which when I'm talking about my state, I'm actually talking about a private business I own in the state of Minnesota. I actually own a private business, and that's the estate. And since I did the way I spelt it, and the fact that I have a patent, so it doesn't matter actually the way it's spelled, because the spelling doesn't matter. As long as it is a registered entity and it's registered with the state and the appropriate agencies, then it is, in every sense of the word, considered a corporation. It takes $50, a little more than $50, because you have to pay and get the appropriate paperwork. But $50 to start, just to get the name of the corporation up. It cost me another $200 plus to get copyrights for the name, trademarks, all that. Paid an attorney. Had him do it professional. I have a contract, a UCC commercial contract, as well as a anonymity clause for my corporation. I actually go through and have gone through the proper functions and channels to do so. So I could actually obtain what we have talked about today, the sovereign. So I can act in autonomy and I can act independently from foreign government. Remember, because they are foreign government. The greatest example of a government shill is Hillary. Look how many dummy accounts, dummy corporations she has set up. Look how many dummy accounts Bill Gates has set up. Look how many dummy accounts a lot of these individuals have. LLCs, corporations. They hide behind those corporations and protect themselves. We can do the same thing. People are teaching it wrong. And I'm here to show you the right way to do it. Free of charge, of course. The only price of admission is time. And if you don't have the time to do this, then you have completely wasted your whole day then. I hope you enjoyed this video. Share, comment, like. There will be more content like this. Thank you.